What's up, man?
Not a damn thing. Lovely and hot. It's 90 fucking degrees in Philadelphia.
This shit is sweltering. It's fucking crazy.
Did you just say sweltering?
I said sweltering,
That's
my friend.
Hilarious.
I mean, the only thing else is it's like fucking my sphincters on a fucking campfire, bro. Fucking like 5 shower a day weather.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And my office is a green office, so that means the office is set to 72 degrees. And let me tell you, with like 30-foot high ceilings, 40-foot high ceilings, it's hot as piss. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that shit's fucking... Fuck that shit. So, George, let's talk a little bit of fucking MMA, because you saw the shit. I'm not going to front. I did not see the shit this past weekend. So I'm going to kind of let you just fucking get started. I'm going to just chime in. I read all about it, and I saw clips, obviously, of it, but I did not, everybody get to see the event
I'll
live.
follow your lead. I'll follow where you want to talk. I mean, I didn't pay attention to the OSP fight, so I have no idea what happened there. I think he won. I think the dude he fought got his arm broke, but
He fought Ryan Himmo in the Hizzo.
And broke his arm. Yeah.
Yep, and it was a verbal submission by motherfucker, let go of my arm because you just broke it. So that was some shit that people thought was dirty, apparently. I don't know. I didn't see it. Maybe you guys can tell us that.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. So, I mean, I guess that's bad on my part, but look, whatever. So that takes us to who was the next fight?
The next fight was Andre Arlovski versus Brendan Schaub, which that's what you and I were talking about before the cameras came on, and you seemed to... You saw that, actually.
Yeah, I watched the fight from top to bottom. People think Schaub won. Arlovski obviously got the win. I think a little bit of that had to do with his name power, and it didn't help that Brendan Schaub caught an elbow at the end in the bottom of an exchange. And I'm pretty sure his eye socket got broken because the thing swelled up quick. And, I mean, some judges look at that and automatically assume. I think the most telling thing for me was Schaub hit Arlovski with one of the best uppercuts I've ever seen, and Arlovski didn't even flinch. Now, I mean, I don't know if anyone's paid attention to Arlovski's last, 3 or 4 fights, but his jaw went. So I don't know if... he looked a lot beefier. I'm not sure what he weighed in at, but he looked really heavy because he's always one of the smaller heavyweights.
Right.
So to watch him in there, he looked bigger and like he was carrying more muscle. And I know he's been, up in the 240s, 250s, but he was still smaller when he was fighting against Tim Sylvia or Frank Mir or one of those guys. And it was seeing him get hit by an uppercut and not get dropped. I thought as soon as the uppercut landed, I was like, all right, lights are still on and he's still fighting. Okay. So
it's funny that you say that, and maybe somebody out there can answer this, because it's like when you get, I don't know if there's any type of correlation with getting knocked out several times over a short period of time that makes you, I mean, we all know the more you get knocked out, the more vulnerable you become to knockouts. But it's like, okay, if like Arlovski, obviously you remember he went through a run where he just got fucking pummeled and dropped time after time after. It was like 3 or 4 times within like a couple year period.
Yeah, and it all started with when he had Fedor beat. He had Fedor in the worst state we had seen up to that point. He had Fedor in the corner. He tried to do a jumping flying knee. Fedor hit him with the right hand, and then his career went into like a 4-fight tailspin.
Right, and then, I mean, I'm wondering the fact that he did not get knocked out, or he kind of took, he obviously stepped away from it for a little bit.
He went into boxing and got knocked out in a boxing match.
Okay, so my whole theory is just fucking going out the window.
Dude, I don't know. Like I said, maybe he's on some shit, maybe he's not. Maybe he just got really amped up and the adrenaline was flowing and he didn't feel it. Anyway, Arlovski won. This has no relevance in the weight class. He's back. Neither one of these guys will be fighting for a title anytime soon. I don't think either one of these can even beat a top 5 guy. So.
Right. Now, that would bring us to the light heavyweight fight between Ryan Bader and Rafael Calvante Feijoa, which both of us had this wrong, because I think we both picked Feijoa winning this fight. He did not win this fight. He lost to Ryan Bader, who won via unanimous decision.
And if anyone saw my tweet, I was 3 more minutes away from calling Comcast and asking for a refund. That fight pissed me off. That fight was terrible, period, end of story. I don't want to say anything more about it. I don't give a rat's ass if that makes me disrespectful. If you watched that fight and were happy, I don't know what you saw. If you enjoyed that fight, you had to either be a Feijoa fan or a Bader fan, because that shit sucked more than a fat kid's greasy nutsack in the middle of August. That shit was horrible.
Ew. Anyway.
Yeah, dude, that fight was stank.
that will bring us to something that everybody's going to want to hear George talk about, and that is your favorite Canadian, Rory McDonald, going up against Tyron Woodley. This is something that we also got wrong.
Yeah, I did. And but let me preface it with this. All four of you fucking Rory McDonald fans, son. Just relax for a second. I still don't like him, but I have a better understanding of him. What he did, and now that I don't know if you had a chance to go back and look at who he's fought in the past. I think the TriStar Gym is probably very, very good at developing game plans. And I say that to say this is he came out and pressed the shit out of Tyron Woodley from the beginning to the end. And like I explained to Kevin, if you ever watch a team in basketball who likes to full court press you, they usually don't like it back. And Tyron Woodley has come out his last couple fights like gangbusters, pressing his opponents, looking to end the fight, and he looked like a deer in headlights. He looked confused. He's like, oh my God, this is real big, tall dude's up in my face. He's jabbing the shit out of me. I can't reach him with a broomstick. What am I going to do? And that's the way it looked for all 3 rounds. And Rory McDonald did not attempt to finish this fight one time, and I don't blame him. No point of even getting in this dude's power wheelhouse or trying to get knocked out, because the dude's got knockout power all of a sudden, and there's no point in taking it to the ground to try to tap him either, because he point fought his way to a victory, and I don't fault him for it. It was a very good showing, and I think this, and like he said in his robotic, non-emotional, not really sure if the kid even knows how to smile state, this puts him right back in the title contention, and it does, because if you look at who he's lost to and who he's beat, he has one big loss in his last couple fights.
The problem is, George, it's like, you know what? It does put him back in contention. I mean, I'm not going to argue the point with all you Rory McDonald fans, but the problem is that in this class, like the welterweight and these lighter classes, man, there's like 5 motherfuckers every year that get in contention. Like every year that you don't do what you're supposed to do, or you don't accomplish what your goal is, and I'm sure Rory McDonald's goal is to go ahead and be the welterweight champion of the world, there's 4 or 5 other cats coming up behind you that are now in a position to get the shot at the title. I mean, him putting it in neutral and losing a fight set him back, and even though this fight puts him back, you know, kind of in contention, I guess, there's a lot of other guys waiting in line now. So, I mean, what do you think's next for him?
Honestly, dude, I mean, if they're not going to give him a title shot, it's going to be one more fight than a title shot. I mean, he's right. He's a killer. No, because that would imply he finishes things. He's very tactical. He knows how to win fights. He's just a bigger version of GSP. And what they did is they finished the early opponents in their career that posed them no threat. When they get in against guys who pose a knockout threat or pushing them to the limits threat, they know how to game plan. Now, hopefully his game plan changes. Look, Condit's got a blown out knee. He's been on the shelf. I don't know if he's scheduled to be back anytime soon. I say he fights. If his next fight's not for the title, now I know Dana's looked over him in the past because of his unimpressive finishes. He's got to look at this fight and see that he completely dominated every single minute of every single round of this fight, whether it's in fantastic Dana White, let me blow you type fashion because you just sold pay-per-views. It's not, but I think this kid needs a title shot, should deserve a title shot soon. I mean, maybe one more fight. But I just think I don't think Dana likes him. I really don't. And I can't blame Dana because the dude is not fun to watch.
Right. He's not fun to watch. And, you know, I mean, you said it a million times. We've all said it, and people out there have said it. He doesn't have a dynamic personality. And the bottom line is that, when you don't have a dynamic personality in the UFC, it's hard to sell fights, you know, because people are like, okay, I don't really care to see this guy fight. And now, if Rory McDonald started talking mad shit tomorrow and pulling a Chael Sonnen and stuff, I'd be the first one to be like,
you mean he'd retire?
Even if you don't like the guy. Huh?
You mean he would talk shit about other people's drug tests, fail his drug tests, and then retire? You want him to do that?
No,
or you want him to do the talking shit part?
I just pulled the trigger too fast on that because I should not have said that before we finished, because I knew that was going to give you just more ammunition than fucking Rambo. But we're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to that because real quick, we'll get off the fucking welterweight bout. What the fuck am I trying to say? Welterweight bout.
You're trying to say we're going to talk about Demetrious Johnson absolutely dismantling Look, I apologize. I can't say your name for shit. I heard it for 25. I heard it for 25 minutes straight, and I just watched you get pummeled. And Demetrious Johnson's the baddest motherfucker at 125. If he wants to go to 135, I think he'd be badass there. But I mean, this is one fighter, and you've listened to Kevin and I talk about we beat GSP to death for not changing weight classes.
Right.
I don't think Demetrious Johnson can physically change a weight class. I think he'd be so small at 135 that he'd have a tough time.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't take on the challenge and fight his heart out because he does, but I think he's just stay at 125, dominate, and retire. Yeah,
and it's true, man. I think at a certain point in time, where you look at these guys that are fighting in the 125 class, they're 5'3", 5'4". You know, they're so short in stature. I mean, their height. It's just like, okay, you jump up to the 135s, and now you got guys that are sucking weight and are 5'6", 5'7". You're giving up a lot of fucking height. You're giving up a lot of reach, and it becomes a lot more difficult, at least in these smaller classes.
Who's the little guy we just saw win and call him out 2 weeks ago at your house when I was
John Dotson. Huh? Oh, you mean Dotson?
Yeah, that I want to see again.
I would like to see John Dotson again, and one of the reasons him fight John Dotson is because Dotson went through Moraga. I mean, during that fight we saw, and Demetrious Johnson decisioned him. So I mean, it was a tougher fight for Johnson. But I mean, we saw the first fight. He just methodically dissected John Dotson. John Dotson's got mad skill. He's fucking aggressive. We all know how hyperactive the guy is.
That's the fight we need to see next. Even if it's I don't care. As many times, I mean, Demetrious Johnson's killing everyone. Put him in against Dotson again. Let's see it happen. I'm ready to see that fight again. That fight. Now, to me, you'd have a better chance of selling pay-per-views with that fight than Melba Toast fighting anybody.
Yeah, and I mean it's true. It's true.
And it just is. I really don't think. I think people are so on the fence with Rory McDonald. You don't hate him, but I really don't see, unless you're from Canada, you can really cheer for the guy. So you're just kind of like, oh, cool, look, Rory McDonald's fighting again. You're not tuning in to see him lose, so he's not a bad guy. You're not tuning in to see him win because he's not really a great guy. He's just kind of like, He's like Melba Toast. He's just kind of there.
He is kind of like Melba Toast. That's actually, you know what? I like that Melba Toast shit. I'm going to have to bite that shit.
Go for it.
I'm going to have to bite the Melba Toast.
And for any of you who haven't had Melba Toast, just think of a plain piece of toast. That's it. Just look at a plain piece of toast and tell me what you see. It's just plain bread. It's just nothing's on it.
Now, but let's get off this fucking car because we spent like 12 or 13 minutes on it and the shit's over and everybody's going to roll their eyes at us because they'll be like, Kevin and George, the shit's old news. But there's a fight. There's actually not just one fight, George, but there's actually 2 fights on June 28th.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing
this. So you
this.
have your
This
choice.
is the second time they've done this.
Well, what they're doing is that the fights that are not in the U.S. or if a fight happens somewhere else in the world and in the U.S. simultaneously, they let those people, that are, for example, on June 28th, you have Fight Night, Tehuna versus Marquardt, and that's going to happen in New Zealand, which is James Tehuna's home country, So they're going to offer that on Fight Pass.
Cool.
But here in the States, you're going to be able to see UFC Fight Night, Swanson versus Stevens for free. So, we're not going to, for people like us who refuse to get Fight Pass, we're still going to be able to be entertained by being able to see UFC Fight Night.
But last time they did this, we weren't. They had a fight in Germany and a fight in Macau at the same time. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Or some shit. Well, maybe it was Brazil and Germany. I don't know. It was in 2 places at once in the same day. And I'm just like, I don't understand why they're doing this.
The bottom line is if it's a fight that is and this is what if it is a fight that is not in the U.S. and it's not a big name card, or it doesn't have a lot of names to create a draw, and it's not, they're not going to blow it with a Fight Night, like that's going to be aired on Fox because it can hurt them. You know what I mean? They want the ratings to be as strong as possible, so when this fucking agreement they have with Fox, rolls up and they're in negotiations for a new agreement with Fox, they're going to say, look, you had this amount of viewership, this amount of viewership, this amount of viewership. They know these fights are not going to pull in numbers. If this fight is going up against something on a Saturday night, then it could get hurt. I mean, that's the bottom line. If no one's going to tune in to see James Tahuna fight Nate Marquardt, that's the fucking headliner. So he's got to create it and put it on this Fight Pass shit.
So what Kevin's getting at is, while all of you guys are enjoying that, we want to talk about Vanderlei Silva running out the back door to duck a drug test. And while that's going on, Chael Big Mouth Sonnen absolutely just grills him, kills him, crucifies him, calls him every name in the book, calls him this, that, and other thing. Oh, shit, I busted. I got popped. I'm going to retire.
Yeah. It's, you know what, man? And I think I think for Chael Sonnen, it's the best thing he could have done because, you can't. It's at this point in time, it's like it's happened too many times. Everybody knows the whole fucking your association with TRT. You've lost.
Did
numerous
you say
fights.
Flirtation with TRT?
His what?
Did you say flirtation with TRT?
Association.
Oh, I would say flat out abuse of. I mean, you're pussyfooting around it. That motherfucker was not TRT. That was not TRT. That was steroid use. That's flat out what that was. To get the levels that him and Vanderlei have been tested at, that's not TRT. They had a doctor go on that stupid MMA show not stupid. They had a doctor go on the MMA show with Boss Rutan and the other guy who, if you have like Access TV, you get to watch. And he got busted with HCG, which is a female hormone that you use to try to regulate your system and get your levels back to normal.
Human chronic gonadotropin. Yeah,
and that's what the guy said. The guy goes, look, this dude is, he goes, hypergonadism. He's like, yeah, you know how you get hypergonadism? By taking too much test. He's like, most people don't get that any other way. I mean, the doctor was frank. He's like, I've been in this game 20 years. He's like, I've seen it all. He's taking HCG to try to get his levels back to normal, either to bring them down or to bring them up. I was like, and he's like, that's the only reason why. He just killed Chael Sonnen and all, because it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. There's TRT and then there's drug abuse. Those two dudes, that's drug abuse.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mean, basically, neither one of these guys have hit 40, and they've been doing it for so many fucking years. And I think in the case with Chael Sonnen, Chael Sonnen got fights because he's a hype man, and Vanderlei gets fights because of his. He's a white Flavor Flav. He's a hype man. Now, that doesn't mean he has no fucking skill because the guy's a great fighter. Vanderlei, because of his fucking past and pride, because for a while, Vanderlei hadn't done shit in the UFC. He's exciting, but he hadn't done shit in the UFC.
No, he's going to stand there toe-to-toe and let you punch him. If you punch him, he's going to punch you back. That's all he wants to do.
Right. Now, with Chael, I mean, at this particular point in time, once you fail again, and you're bringing that much bad ink when it's been a huge issue that's been brought to the forefront, and everybody's talking about this shit with TRT and the UFC and what they're doing with the athletes and allowing them to do that. Now he's one of their big hype men who's always getting a lot of ink, and he fails again. Not only does he fuck Dana in that sense, but by bringing him negative press, but he fucks up the card.
Well, and on top of that,
at a certain point,
go ahead.
No, he fucks up the card. So I mean. I don't know if Dana says, look, Chael, it's probably in your best interest. I'm going to let you retire. Because I'm going to tell you what, if I was Dana White or the Zuffa brothers, as much as I love Chael Sonnen and he made me money, I would look at him and be like, look, you know what? I'm not going to release you from your contract. You've done a lot for us, but it's going to be in your best interest if you just say you retire.
Now,
that's how I would have handled it.
If you're Fox, how do you handle it?
What, with him?
Yeah, because he's one of your color guys. He's one of your prognosticators.
I mean,
he sits there and gives his opinion, and he does a really good job. Him and Brian Stan are much better than the guy who looks like Ben Stiller. What's his name?
Right,
Florian.
Kenny Florian.
Yeah, I would rather listen to Chael and Brian Stan break down a fight than Kenny Florian. And so if you're Fox, what do you do with him?
I mean, you know what's funny? It's still MMA. As much as we'd like to see it, it is not a mainstream sport. I mean, it's not. And so a lot of people will not know about it. I mean, we know about it. The fans of the show know about it. MMA enthusiasts know about it. Obviously, people who are watching that probably know about it. But they might be like, really nobody cares about these people extracurricular activities.
I shelf them.
I mean, do you? Huh?
I shelf them for six months to a year. I put him on the shelf. I don't even want his face out there till this is completely blown over. I don't even want to, because here's the thing: if I'm Dana White and after a big time event that's on Fox or something, I don't want the first question to be like, so why was Chael Sonnen here? Why was Chael doing this? Why was Chael doing that? I don't want him to pull any press away from any of my current fighters or any of my future events.
Right.
I would talk to Chael and be like, look, you're gonna have to sit on the sideline for 6 months.
But can Dana White have that kind of pull, because this is agreement between Chael Sonnen and Fox?
Is it?
Or I don't know. Or maybe is it in this contract?
You don't
if
think
it's in his contract,
you don't think Dana White can go to Fox and tell him no?
I mean, he can, and you know what? To some degree, it might be written in their contract. You do commentating for sport. I mean, I don't know how these contracts are set up or anything like that.
Put him on the next Macau card where no one's watching.
Yeah, and then kind of ease him back in. Because remember when fucking Marv Levy back in the day got caught fucking doing all the crazy sexual shit?
Yeah, I wish I was there.
Underwear. I wish I was
biting
too.
bitches in the back.
They were like,
hold my toupee.
Banging bitches. Women walking around with fucking underwear on his head. I never had anything
badass toupee he has.
Yeah, you know, but he was gone for a while. But do you know that he's back now?
Right.
Have you noticed that he's kind of eased his way back?
And when he was gone,
So
he was
you got a
gone.
point.
It's not like he was doing side jobs. He was gone.
Oh,
so
he was gone for a good minute.
But that's our UFC MMA news.